Very warm welcome from our side. I'm Supratik Banerjee. I'll be your moderator and also partly taking over the first few slides of this presentation that you see right now. This session is all about standards. So where we like to start is always a starting point, and this is that starting point, which is the introduction of the G3. And what do you call as G3 standards? What we will cover in this session is exactly these 4 points. What are the machine vision standards in the industry? What is the G3 cooperation at all? What does it mean? How the G3 works? And there will be a standards overview from each of the associations that are part of the G3 in the following round. So what are standards? So as we all know, standards are something that are, for a lack of a better word, standardized, or when something needs to, when a component needs to work with another component. If they speak the same language, then it's always easier to communicate. And if all components of the same type are speaking in the same way, that is when you have a standard. So to be able to realize the dream of Industry 4.0 or Industrial Internet of Things, this dream can never be completed if you don't have standards. First of all, standards encourage participation and competition in the market. It enables the growth of the markets. It reduces the trading costs. It reduces many other implementation costs as well. It's in a way it enables others to communicate at the same level field who are following the same standard, and that is why we know, and it's an established fact, why standards are at all important to realize the dream of Industry 4.0. Coming to machine vision. Machine vision is such a field which is special in a way that there are many, many different types of components that are needed to realize an application. In this slide, for example, you see there is a programming interface, there's a PLC, there's a vision box, there's a frame grabber, lens, lighting, sensor, optics, and the list can just go on. And the variety of machine vision systems is such that even this small device, a small sensor, is an entire vision system. And a room full of sensors, a room full of computing devices is also a vision system. So in this case, the need for standards is even more important. So as you see, there are different standards which solve different problems for different aspects of a vision system. Here, there are some typical examples. GenICam, IIDC2. You will hear these terms, or you will know a little bit more about these standards in the following slides. But what I want to really express with this slide is there is a plethora of standards, even if we are talking about machine vision as one field. And all of these standards are being independently being developed by independent associations or bodies. So how do we communicate the fact if a standard is being developed in Japan, for example, and if something is being, on the similar lines, is being developed in the Americas, or let's say in Asia, for example, somewhere else, not in Japan, you can end up solving the same problem in different ways. And this is the reason we have this international cooperation that is known as the G3. Under the umbrella of the G3, machine vision associations or bodies that develop these standards come together under the same roof. So we have the A3, represented by Bob here. We have EMVA, represented by Thomas. We have VDMA, represented by myself. And we have the Japanese Industrial Association for Imaging is Sakuma-san here. One important association is missing on the stage right now, but definitely not missing in presence is the CMVU, which is the Chinese Machine Vision Association. The only aim of the G3 is to collaborate with each other so that there are no duplicacies, there are nothing, we are not reinventing the wheel. If someone has developed a standard for something, we take it, we push it, we use it, and we promote the same in other parts of the world, or at least in the region that we cater towards. The 5 main goals of the G3 as as a body, our openness of standardization working groups. So whenever there is a standardization working group coming on from one of our associations, we inform the other ones, hey, we are coming up with a new standard, this is solving this problem, and that is what we are going to push forward from now on. That is first, openness. Global dissemination and endorsement of the standards that are already being developed under the G3 umbrella. So that is a promise that we also promote the standards being developed by our partner associations. New standardization projects. If we think that there is some problem that is not yet solved and we need another standard to solve that particular problem, we approach the G3 and say, do we have something like this? And if the G3 says no, then we go ahead with the standardization project. We ask the G3 if we are allowed to develop something in the same direction. As soon as the G3 says yes, then we go ahead and do it. Intellectual property is another very important aspect. So within the G3 agreement, it is clearly specified that the association that hosts the standard or comes up with the standard or develops the standard together with industry partners, that association shall be the intellectual property owner in this case. How does the standard development under the G3 look like? This is just an example from one of the VDMA standards. So for example, we have biannual meetings every year where the working groups of all G3 standards meet and have their working discussions. And within this one such discussion, once VDMA went up to these meetings or the G3 as a whole and said that we need a standard which is for Industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT, which communicates all over the automation pyramid. And then the G3 said, makes sense. It gives us the mandate to get this standard up and running. And that's where a new G3 standard is born. In case there is a foreign institution which also joins in, they also join in from the side. But that is how the process looks like. From the next slide onwards, I would invite my colleagues from the different associations to tell you.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, the EMVA is hosting 3 standards under the G3 umbrella. And the oldest one, in fact, is EMVA 1288. It's a standard for camera characterization. Not only camera, could be also image sensor characterization. And the news here is that we just founded an ISO working group under the Technical Committee 42. A new working group numbered 28 has been founded. So this standard will be lifted to international level now. That process has just started. Next week is the kickoff meeting. The second one, and probably most known standard, and one of 2 software standards we host under G3 is GenICam. That's basically a generic programming interface for cameras and devices, and also already existing more or less 20 years, I suppose, long before I joined, that's for sure. And you can see demos with GenICam in place at the standards booth here in Hall 8, number E20. All G3 standards are present at that booth, and experts are happy to answer your questions at that booth. And the last and most recent EMVA standard is the Open Optics Camera Interface. That is basically targeting the possibility that today you can, let's say, automatically change the lenses of cameras, or the lens parameters of cameras. That is a quite new working group, and for all working groups, we are happy for everybody who wants to join and actively contributing the further developments. Thank you very much.
Next up, Bob Makara from the A3, presenting the A3 standards.
Hello. A3 has 4 interface standards. Camera Link was the original standard in 2000, which paved the way for all the other interface standards. Mainly a hardware standard connecting the national semiconductor chip from the transmitter to the receiver, defining the pinouts. Remarkably fast. It's still very popular. The successor to that is CameraLink HS. It's featuring both copper and fiber interface from 2012. The update is we have a clear roadmap for the standard, an IP core to 50 gigs. We're also looking at a small optical connector project where we're pinging the industry. There are a number of standards going optical, which is the future, and getting a small connector on the camera end is incredibly critical to the industry. GigiVision is the Ethernet digital interface standard. Easy to network cameras, multi-camera applications, long reach, 100 meters with cable. The big news is GigiVision 3, which you'll see around the hall a little bit. We're hoping to release in 25, adding a new streaming protocol utilizing Rocky V2 for vastly increased speeds. It will need optical as well. And our last standard, USB 3 Vision, is the plug-and-play interface standard. New silicon is pending, which will increase speeds to 10 and 20 gigabits per second. Thank you.
Next up, Gia Tsuneo Sakuma.
And GIA has 8 working groups about machine vision industry, and I picked up 4 of them. First one is CoExpress. CoExpress is a standard that specifies the mechanical and digital interface between imaging module and a frame grabber using coax cable. And it's speed developed at 12.5 gigabps. And we are talking about a fiber version 1.0. And we are now discussing the speeding up capability study. And 25 gigabps over CoExpress CAPAP discussion started for version 3.0. Next will be IIDC2. This is a software interface between camera and interface. And this is designed on the simplicity and extensibility with considering the affinity of GenyCam. And another keyword is register base. So you don't have to remember all the name convention from a big library. So this is the biggest point. And the now version is 1.2 and 0 is usable, and the gathering idea for version 1.3 is our status. Next will be lighting. The lighting standard about the lighting design methodology and lighting product performance measurement. This means that we have 3 kinds of lighting in the machine vision industry, and the direct reflection or through and scattering and between them mixture. And we define these fundamentals in this standard. So you can use L101 2018. This is the standard itself, and another studies, 2 of studies are available on our side. And the last one is the lens. Lens standard making a mechanical interface to use uniquely determined by the image size of each class. You can see the right-wise structure. You can choose the image size, and you can use the lens mount standard. We have 7 standards, so please visit our site and choose your best performance lenses. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this brings me to the VDMA standards. The first one being OPC UA for machine vision. What the standard solves is to get rid of the traditional automation pyramid, which you see on this picture. And the future looks something that looks much closer to the right, where everything is connected to everything else. And OPC UA in itself is a technology for different domains, not just for machine vision, which enables this to work. How does it work? Is OPC UA is a base technology for industrial Internet of Things, or let's say for smart devices. And on top of the OPC UA-based technology, we build domain-specific information models and domain-specific standards. There is an OPC UA for robotics. There is an OPC UA for machine vision. There is an OPC UA for woodworking machines. At this point in time, as I'm speaking at the VDMA, we are developing around 60 different domain-specific models. So in the end, the vision is that a device from one domain can talk to another domain as long as it's all speaking OPC UA. So that's what we do at the OPC UA for machine vision. Then we have, last but not the least, the 2632 series of standards. This is everything to do with, that has to do with avoiding miscommunication or misunderstanding. So when you're saying pixel, when you're saying aperture, when you're saying light, when you're using all these technical terms or non-technical terms to solve a machine vision problem, all of these terms need to come from some sort of a dictionary. And that dictionary is the 2632 series of standards, which basically avoids any miscommunication between the suppliers and the users of a machine vision system. And that's how there are multiple parts to this, part 1 up until part 4. But in case you're interested in any of our standards that have been talked about at this stage, there's a standards brochure. It's very nice. It gives you the an overview of all the standards that we develop under the G3. And we have our booth right there. Please visit us, ask us questions. We'll always be happy to help, happy to answer. And that's it from the first presentation.